Today I'm going to show you my absolute favorite way to eat oatmeal. This is all natural, it's easy and quick to make, and it's good for you too. Here's how I do it. Now before we start talking about the ingredients, we need to talk about the vessel that we're going to cook this oatmeal in. I like to cook it in the same bowl that I'm going to eat it in, which is this bowl here. However, when cooking oatmeal, it has a tendency to kind of bubble up, and if you use a bowl that's kind of small, it might bubble over and run over the edge, just like this. So to solve that problem, you could use just a larger bowl. That way when it bubbles up, it won't bubble up over the edges of the bowl. That usually solves the problem. You can transfer it into a smaller bowl to eat if you like, or just eat it right out of the big bowl. I do think ceramic bowls are best. I think we all know by now that cooking things in plastic bowls is probably not a great idea, so I'm using ceramic here today. So I like the old-fashioned oats for this. These are steam-rolled oats. They're kind of an in-between between steel-cut oats and quick oats. Quick oats are kind of pulverized and they've had their structure kind of destroyed, and they're even a little bit more cooked. And steel-cut oats are in a much more raw form, and they require a lot more cooking, and it's just a different experience than old-fashioned oats. I like old-fashioned oats the best because I think it's right in that sweet spot between whole grain goodness and convenience. You get both there with the old-fashioned oats. As you can see, these are oats that have been smushed flat. You can see each individual oat, and after they're cooked, they're still going to have some texture and some chew to them, whereas quick oats will be more like a mush. So I'm not going to measure anything in this recipe today. I'm just going to eyeball it because I've done this lots of times. And you don't really need to measure either. I'll show you some ways you can know if you're putting the right amount of oats or water in. But if you're not sure, you can just follow the instructions that are on the back of the package for your oats, where they give you the ratio of oats to water. And just follow that and you should be good to go. It doesn't need to be precise. But in this bowl that I'm going to be eating it out of, I filled the bowl about 1/3 of the way full of oats. Now it's time for the apple. I think this is a Cosmic Crisp apple. Doesn't really matter what kind. Choose your favorite apple. I do like leaving the skin on. Skin has a lot of fiber and nutrients, and it also adds some nice color to this oatmeal. I'm going to cut this apple up into about a 1/2-inch size cubes. I want to cut it small enough so that the chunks of the apple will get cooked within the same time frame as it takes to cook the oats, which is just a couple of minutes. I should note that this apple did come out of my refrigerator, so it is cold to start with, and that will impact the cooking time depending on if your apple is room temperature or cold. But I'm just going to dump those apple cubes right on top of the oats, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some water, just enough water so that everything in the bowl is just barely covered with the water. Now I think this ratio kind of rings true no matter which size bowl you're using. You put 1/3 oats, 1/3 apple, and then enough water just to cover everything, and your results will be pretty good, generally speaking. Again, this ratio doesn't need to be precise, but of course you can refer back to the instructions on the box if need be. Into the microwave it goes. I'm going to do 3 minutes. That is the time that I've found that works perfectly for this dish in my microwave. Microwaves are all different, and even the elevation at which you live can have an impact on the cooking time here. So you're just going to have to test it. The first couple times you do this, I would just stand by the microwave and watch in the window, and if it looks like it's going to start boiling over, just stop the microwave and let it simmer down a little bit. After a couple times of doing this, you'll figure out the right amount of time that it needs to be microwaved to be cooked, but not boil over all over inside your microwave. One thing that is very convenient when cooking this is one of these bowl cozies. I got these from my mom. She made them for me. Thanks, Mom. But I'm sure you can get them at stores or on Etsy or somewhere else like that. But when those oats come out of the microwave, they're going to be piping hot, and a little cozy there to help you carry the bowl would help a lot. So now the oats are mostly cooked, but they haven't fully absorbed all the water in the bowl, as you can see. And the next ingredient is nuts. Obviously, if you don't like nuts or you're allergic or something like that, just skip this part. But I like pecans, walnuts, sliced almonds. Those are probably my 3 favorites. I would not use whole almonds because the skins will just come off and you'll have a bunch of chewy almond skins in there. It's not really a great texture. But I'm doing pecans today, and I like mine pretty chunky. I'm not going to break them up very much. Just give them a little squeeze with my hand and drop them on in there. Feel free to chop them up as finely as you desire for your preference. And the final ingredient that brings it all together is, of course, cinnamon. Who doesn't like cinnamon? I mean, this is just takes this whole thing to another level. I use a lot of cinnamon. Probably a tablespoon of cinnamon just went in there. I'm not sure. I never measure it. I'm going to give this a good mix up, and there's one final step to finish this off. But before I do that, I want to point out that I did not add any sugar to this dish. You may feel the tendency to add brown sugar or maple syrup and all these other kind of sugary things that people like to add to oatmeal. And while that would certainly be delicious, what you're doing by doing that is turning a healthy breakfast into candy. But the way this is, it has lots of sweetness from that apple and cinnamon, and it just doesn't need anything else. It's perfect just how it is. Now you could eat this right now. It's a little bit loose and it is piping, steaming hot. I would definitely burn my mouth on this. So what I do is I'll set it aside on the counter for 5 to 10 minutes, and that does two things. One is it cools it off so I don't burn my face off. And two, it thickens it up a little bit. As it sits there, those oats will absorb the rest of the liquid, and you'll just have a nice, thick, chunky bowl of apple cinnamon oats that is just absolutely delicious. If I had to pick one way to eat oats for the rest of my life, I think this would probably be it. I hope you found that recipe useful. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. See you on the next one.